everyone, I am the Sports Wiz 101, and today I'll be giving you my predictions for week 2 of the NFL season. So we'll predict all these games, and we'll look to do better than we did last week, where we went 9-7 over the course of the first week of the season. So if that sounds good to you, please like and subscribe, and we'll get started with the AFC matchups. The first one pits my Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. You gotta think that the Jaguars fans are going to be up and ready for this one. The Chiefs, meanwhile, they're coming off of a frustrating loss to the Lions, where Kadarius Toney can just catch a pass. They win. But the Chiefs will have two things that they didn't have for that loss to the Lions: Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. All the signs I've heard about either of those two have seemed to indicate that they will be in Jacksonville and they will be playing for the Chiefs on Sunday. That is a big boost to the Chiefs. I'm taking Kansas City. Meanwhile, in Cincinnati, it's the Ravens and the Bengals. Two teams that look quite a bit differently. I mean, I guess you could say that neither team looked that impressive. I mean, a 25-9 victory over the Texans is not going to impress anybody, Baltimore. And of course, Joe Burrow threw for under 100 yards against the Cleveland Browns. Now, I was honestly not that surprised at the fact that the Browns controlled the Bengals. After all, this is a Browns team that tends to have the Burrows-Bengals number. I think Cincinnati should get back to form somewhat against the Ravens. I do think it'll be a close one. Bunny and Cincinnati will win. Then the Raiders and the Bills. This is my lock of the week. Raiders, Bills. I'm taking the Bills. I know it's odd. I'm taking the team that lost last week over the team that won last week as my lock of the week. That being said, Josh Allen went against the Jets defense as he turned the ball over 4 times. He's not turned the ball over 4 times against the Raiders defense. Just saying. But also, the Raiders just frankly suck on the East Coast. They do not win often if they have to go all the way to the East Coast. So that leads me to thinking Buffalo will win. It is my lock of the week. Chargers-Titans. This is one of those games that I think very easily could go either way. One of a few toss-ups on the week 2 schedule. That being said, I'm taking the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert should be able to pass for quite a few yards, for quite a few scores against this Titan defense. The Chargers quarterback Herbert going to lead his team to their first win of the year here in week 2. Here's another one of those toss-up matchups. This one's the Colts and the Texans. 2 of the better rookie quarterbacks facing off in Houston. Both teams coming off a loss, but if you ask some people, both teams looked better than they thought they would. I mean, with the Colts, I somewhat saw that coming. I thought the Colts were going to keep it competitive against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Texans, though, I'm not sure I saw their defense being as good as it was. I think it's that defense that is going to let the Texans win this one at home over the Colts. Then you have the Dolphins and the Patriots. It's Sunday Night Football in Foxborough. And on this day, I have the Dolphins. Now, do I think New England could win this game? Absolutely. But I just, quite frankly, do not trust the Patriot offense. I think if I'm going to trust one of these teams, it's going to be the Dolphins. After putting up a spectacular offensive performance last week against the Chargers. Browns and Steelers set to meet up in Pittsburgh. It's just half of the Monday Night Football we have this week. And here, I got the Steelers. I think their defense should be better this week. I think their defense matches up better with the Browns than it does with the 49ers. And in the end, it is in Pittsburgh. I feel like these teams are fairly evenly matched, regardless of what happened in Week 1. So yeah, I'm taking the Steelers to knock off the Browns. Over to the interconference matchups, we have the Jets and the Cowboys. I'm taking the Cowboys. Look, Dallas coming off a 40-0 win over the Giants, looking like one of the best teams in the NFL. Do I think this will be quite as much of a manslaughter as that game against the Giants was? No, absolutely not. But I do think they should win convincingly over a Jets team that has to go with Zach Wilson as their starting quarterback after Aaron Rodgers got injured on the first drive of the season. Then looking elsewhere, it's the Commanders and the Broncos. I feel like this is going to be a good game. In the end, I like Denver. Part of it is the fact that this is in the Mile High City. That is a huge home field advantage for the Broncos. But I also think I might trust the defense of the Broncos more than I do the Commanders. In fact, maybe trust most elements of the Broncos more than I trust the Commanders. I feel like the coaching staff is advantage Denver. Defense, advantage Denver. I even feel like the offense of Denver should be able to be at the level, if not better, than the Commanders. Could you persuade me the Commanders could win this one? Absolutely. But in the end, I just feel like Denver has the better pieces towards the team. And so I'll take the Broncos. So next up is the NFC. We have Thursday Night Football between the Vikings and the Eagles. A rematch of last year, Week 2, where the Eagles were just all over the Vikings. And I think it was at that point where I started to think, you know, the Eagles are for real. The Eagles are legit. The Eagles are one of the better teams in the league. I think we'll see something similar this Thursday night. After all, this is a Vikings team that, if their game against the Buccaneers is any indication, they're not as lucky as they were last year. On the fact that this is in prime time, and, well, the Vikings have Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, who tends to suck in prime time. And you're looking at the Eagles picking up a win, I think. Next up, the Bears and the Buccaneers. Look, the Buccaneers did way better than I thought they would. The Bears, not so much. The Bears look like the same old Bears. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers, I think they will have a better defense, and that's really, I think, all they need in order to beat the Bears this week. Of course, they'll have the home field advantage as well, but Packers and Falcons, both teams coming off of a impressive win this past week. Green Bay I think wins this one. Could I see the Falcons winning this one? Sure. But it's a case where I trust the defense of the Packers more than the defense of the Falcons. Plus, if last week was any indication, the Packers aren't going anywhere anytime soon, even with Jordan Love as their quarterback. Next up, the Seahawks and the Lions. The Seahawks massively disappointing last week against the Rams. Meanwhile, the Lions proving to me and proving to probably most of the nation, they are legit. They are legit. They are the team I think wins the NFC North. And they are a team that I think should handle the Seattle Seahawks, especially if it seems to be as much of a down year as last week would indicate for Seattle. 49ers Rams, I think the Rams will come back down to earth here as the 49ers issue another blowout, perhaps, but I do think that won't be quite as big of a blowout as the game against the Steelers was. Giants Cardinals, the Giants, I think, win this one. I think that last Sunday, it was just a bad game for the Giants, right? Last Sunday was just a bad day for the Giants. Now they play the Cardinals. They'll get back to the Giants football they're all used to. Granted, they'll have to go to the other side of the country to do it. But in the end, the Giants will prevail. And our last prediction is the Saints and the Panthers. This is my upset of the week. The Panthers win. I know the Panthers, a lot of people did say they didn't look that good last week. Right? I still have faith in my preseason pick to win the NFC South. I think we might start to see flashes of a good quarterback from Bryce Young. And going against the Saints defense, I feel like that'll have to happen. But I do think those flashes come this week. And if they do, you're looking at a Panther upset victory. But there you go. There's my picks for week 2 of the NFL season. If you like this, please like and subscribe for more to come in the following weeks. I've been the Sports Wiz 101, and I will see you all later.